I think I've made it fairly clear that I'm not a fan of Christmas starting in November. I'm also a bit bemused as why Halloween's become the big thing it suddenly has. But in a way, I guess it's a good thing, because otherwise they'd start advertising for Christmas straight after Easter. But I am a big fan of live music. And last Friday, a small market town in Staffordshire called Leek was turning its Christmas lights on, and the band playing there are called Thunderhammer, and they are head and shoulders above any other rock and metal cover band I've seen, and I've seen lots. If you're not into stuff that heavy though, I would also recommend a band called The Weekenders from Derby. They are excellent. But Thunderhammer, 5 great musicians and 5 of the nicest guys you're going to meet. The reason there's 5 of them is you've got vocals, guitar, bass guitar and drums. And in hard rock, that formula works fucking perfectly. However, I did have a slight issue. They're due to go on stage at 7 o'clock and I was at work until 7. And for me to get from work where I am now to Leek takes about half an hour, and I want to see as much of the set as I can. But I came up with a plan for that. You see, this car, the car I drive most days, is a Jag, so it's fairly quick, and I figure I'll just drive like a twat. That should get me there nice and quickly. However, when I leave work, that didn't happen. I got stuck behind a fucking HGV, so I'm just driving along at 40 miles an hour, where I was planning to be going more than 40 miles an hour. But as I'm staring at the back of this fucking wagon, it occurs to me I don't know exactly where the stage is going to be. I've got a rough idea where it'll be, so I hatch a plan. There's a supermarket nearby. I'll park on their car park, and obviously I'll go and do some shopping. I won't take the piss and use it as a free car park like everyone else does. And then I'll just make my way up a couple of streets to the main area in Leek and listen, because as you can imagine, a band called Thunderhammer are not known for being subtle. In fact, I know at least 2 venues where they've managed to trip the electrics with their equipment. But when I get to Leek, it's absolutely fucking rammed. I mean, I'd heard that the Christmas lights thing was a big deal, but it's insane. Luckily, I do manage to get parked on this supermarket car park, and it strikes me, there's no way am I going to use the streets. It is fucking chaos. So I'll use the alleyways. No one likes using alleyways when it's dark and cold and horrible. There's people like me about, for God's sake. But this works like a fucking charm. Through a few alleys, come out into the middle of Leek town centre, listen, and within a couple of seconds, yes, electric guitars to my right. So I run down the street, there's the stage, big crowd, and when I go to a gig or a concert, I like to be quite near the front, so I just barge my way through, knocking women and children aside with no regard for their safety, and as ever, it's a great gig. Love it. However, that's not the reason for this video. The video is because I feel a bit guilty about one interaction I had with one person on my way there. See, as I emerged from this dark alleyway onto the middle of Leek town centre, I'm listening for the band, and in that second I realise that someone's looking at me, and just as I turn and make eye contact, the song I'm hearing clicks in my head, and I just shout out the title and then run off down the street. The person who's watching me is a PCSO, and if you're not from the UK, that stands for Police Community Support Officer. These people work closely with the police. Their uniform is almost identical to the police, but they're not actual police officers. They're there to support the police. But thinking about it more and more, this guy is used to people mistaking him for a police officer and reacting to him as if he were a police officer. So what's happened for him is, obviously, I've run out, we've made eye contact, I've shouted out this song title and run off. For him, a man has run out of a dark alley, stopped dead, made eye contact with him, gone, "Love gun!" and run off down the street. And as I was running away, I was thinking, he took that a bit fucking strange. Although in hindsight, I'm surprised he didn't give chase. There's a lot of countries where I'd have just been fucking shot for that. So if anyone does know he's not a bobby, if anyone knows the local bloke who dresses up like a policeman but doesn't get nicked for it, please apologise to him on my behalf. Also, if you're not familiar with the song Love Gun, it's by Kiss, and think of the title Love Gun. The first thought you just had, that is what it's about. Next weekend, I'm actually going to be an extra in a music video, so I'm sure I'll have something to report on from that. Take care.